demoed this for years now, but I'm a bit like a cat with a shiny bauble. I see a new synth and I'm off looking at that, but forced myself to sit down and look at this. It's one of my favorite synths. Another reason I've not demoed it is had a couple of issues and I finally got them resolved. The keyboard or envelope to switch to the VCA was broken, but now it's repaired, so it's time to demo it. And yes, it was reputedly Vince Clarke's first synth, not mine in particular, well, as far as I know at least. I suppose it could be because I got it used and I've had it for decades, but it was released in 1977 and was originally badged as the Teisco S100F and then was rebranded as the KAWAI 100F. And it's not entirely clear to me if Korg bought Teisco or if Teisco was a brand name of Korg, and different websites give different backstories. But anyway, here it is, the KAWAI synthesizer 100F. And this one sat in my mum's loft for years and years until I had to do a showcase and a gig for Andy McCluskey. And I didn't want to pull the studio apart for a one-off gig, so I got this out the loft so I could play some of the lines I'd originally played on my bass station, got it, plugged it into the PA and did something like this. And I almost myself, it just sounded so massive. It's got such a huge presence and I couldn't replicate that tone on things like my Moog Voyager or my Sub 37. They just didn't quite cut it for some reason. It just smacks you in the face. So this has stayed in the studio ever since. It's got some real weight to it. The filter's amazing. We're not losing any bass. And then it just really punches you in the face. And it's a quirky little thing. It's just got two envelopes, single VCO. It's got an LFO, a low pass filter, a high pass filter, and various modulation options. Oh, we've got portamento as well, 3 modes of portamento. And even though that's a pretty simple setup, these modulation options in the envelopes really do turn it into almost like a little mini modular system. Take a look at the oscillators for now. Let's just open that cutoff. We're getting a bit more presence with the envelope up. But let's just leave this on this mode here. I'll show what the envelope's doing in a second. Or square. Really simple, just a sawtooth or a square. But we can take that down into low frequency mode. All the way up into audio rates. So that effectively gives us a second LFO. Why do you want 2 LFOs if you've lost your oscillator? Well, because this goes into self-oscillation and it's always tracking. Let's take that off there, put the noise in. Almost perfect tracking. Down here, we've got an input to the VCF modulation from either the sawtooth or the square. So if we start pumping that up, we can start to get really nice FM tones or FM style tones. It's audio modulation of the filter. You'd have trouble tuning it in a gig, but the tones are in here. That's fat, it's juicy, it's lovely, that, isn't it? So ignoring the oscillators, there's loads of different tones you can get from the filter itself. And then you can fine tune that with the VCO tuning. So you can use it for FM style tones, or you can get nice modulation out of it. We'll just tune this a bit. It's a nice tone, isn't it? It's not a sawtooth and it's not a square. But of course you can't close the filter on it because you detune it. But you do end up just playing with it and finding really nice little tones, really nice sweet spots all over the place. Take this modulation down and just play the filter. You've got yourself a really nice sub bass as well. The speakers I've got in here aren't really coping with that. So I don't know exactly what it sounded like without taking it into the studio, but I'm thinking it probably sounds brilliant. And because the filter tracks the keyboard, it also works with the modulation. So even though sort of looking at the oscillators, the filter comes in as an oscillator as well. But let's take a look at these envelopes because these are quite cool. So we'll just knock it back up to a simple sawtooth, put it onto a sawtooth, put it onto the VCO, pull it into the filter, take the portamento off. So if we look at these, we've got 3 shapes on each of them. We've only got an attack or decay control, but we actually get almost like ADSR control using these different shapes. So we've got the attack works on the attack phase on each of them, but the decay works slightly different in all modes. So let's put this one on the bottom mode. You'll see why in a second. So we'll modulate the filter with envelope 1. So there's no sustain on this. So that's like, well, that is the decay. And also the release. So I have a long release. Or this second mode, and here it drops down to the sustain level like you'd get on an ADSR. So it's holding it at that level there. If we bring the resonance up, we can almost get like a re-trigger on release. Then the final mode is attack with a sustain and then the decay. So that's like an ADSR envelope without any decay, but with the sustain level. Sustain level set by the VCF controls. So it's actually a really neat way of getting an ADSR control, or ADSR style control, with just 2 sliders. Saves a lot of space. And envelope generator 2 is exactly the same. You don't get huge envelope times. These are on the maximum. But long enough for some nice spacey effects, long enough for a monosynth. You can hear it's picking up where they left off. It doesn't re-trigger the filter. And then we've got LFO trigger as well. And this is cool because it almost acts like a sequencer. And is also another source of FM tones. So it's a great little spacey effects machine. You can see now maybe why I said it's a little bit like a little modular system, even though you can't patch it. Bring the LFO onto the filter as well. It's funky, isn't it? Let's take the envelope off there. All those lovely little crackles and things. Let's modulate it with the VCO as well. Whoops. I know I'm going into really spacey effects territory here. I'm not really showing you doing it bass lines or things you might actually use in a track, but I'm just trying to give a flavor very quickly of how flexible this little thing is. So let's go back to some bass line style things, shall we? Let's have a square. Take the portamento off for now. Dirty that, innit? And I'm not sure why. That's because we've got the LFO still on retrigger. Nice. There you go. Much cleaner. Take the decay down. Over here we've got a switch between simple gate or using envelope 2. So simple gate. In case you wanted to use envelope 2 for something else like the VCO. Let's try and get a little pre-bend on it. You can't use that in inverse, but you can slide down to note just by changing the configuration of the envelope. So envelope 1, for example, instead. Good for toms and things. Let's put this back on envelope 2. Have a little bit of... I'm trying to do a bit of a house or chug. Dum, chicum, dum, chicum, dum. It's a noise. We'll now try some FM on that. So weird little percussive things you can do on it as well. In fact, if we do like a clap sound, or a snare, so just have it on the noise for now. Then we trigger that envelope with the LFO. Trying to get it like double clapping. doesn't actually sound like people clapping, but definitely sounds different. So if I do this, again, just showing the flexibility of it. If we come over to the LFO now, let's just try and get a more sort of standard sound back up. Audio. Let's... There we go, okay. On the LFO, we've got three shapes. We've got a ramp up, we've got a triangle, and we've got a square. Let's just put that on the VCF again. It's nicer to listen to it on the VCF, I think, than the VCO. So LFO up. We've heard it going into audio rates of 50 Hertz. So we've got a ramp up. We don't have a ramp down on that. If you want to ramp down on the VCF, you'd have to use oscillator 1. But then you'd have to put into low mode. Yeah. As you play with this, you just come up with all sorts of nice little bits. Take the LFO trigger off. So you can't really get a ramp down on an LFO, but using that, you can do nice little things like that. And actually, I should show that using the VCO for modulating that gives you different LFO rates on different keys. So. Again, just something nice. But coming back to the LFO here, let's modulate the VCO with it. We've got this delayed vibrato. So we don't have a modulation wheel, but we do have this delayed vibrato. Loads of synths have this. This is always a triangle, but where it's double speed when you put it onto the ramp. And that delay time is set. So you could get really musical things from it. They'd probably have said that sounded like a violin or a cello back in 1977. Let's put it on a little bit higher. Bring some envelope in on the filter. Let's bring it so it sustains. But I like it best for those mad effects and that hefty bass and all the percussion sounds you can get from it. I've got a bunch of percussion sounds on my Patreon actually for this. And because nothing can be synced up, yes, it's got CV at the back, but nothing can be synced up from these LFOs. But it doesn't really matter these days because you can do what you like and then you can sync it in your DAW anyway. It's just got something about it, hasn't it? Last thing I've not shown yet is the high pass filter. Really useful addition. And then we've got a gain here, so we can just have it droning, which you tend to use when you're coming up with all sorts of crazy madness on it. So yeah, that's the KAWAI Synthesizer 100F. One of my favourite synths, will never leave here. To buy them used, they've actually gone up a fair bit in the last couple of years. They tend to be about £600. This hopeful guy had one for £1,200 on Reverb, down to £900. But if you get your hands on one, I think it's a really nice little synth. But if you can't get your hands on the KAWAI, or you don't want to spend your money on something that's almost 50 years old, which I can completely and utterly understand, especially after the hassle I had trying to get this switch fixed, how about something like the PWM Malevolent? Take a look at my video on this. This is a nuts synth too. Also, the original Minibrute, it was the only thing I could get the raw 100F tone from. The Moogs couldn't do it, but this could. And of course, now there's the Minibrute 2, and that's got the raw tone plus loads of modulation options. For pure psychoness, like you get from the 100F, 100%. Have a little play with that. So do check out my demo of that as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I've been looking forward to doing a video on this and demoing one of my favorite synths for quite a while now. I'm glad it's up and running. I'm glad it's all working again. It's a great little thing. If you did enjoy that, do subscribe, ring the bell, all that sort of stuff. Join me on Patreon, click affiliate links, everything. And yeah, thanks for staying to the very, very end, and I will see you next time.